Hi guys, so we have huge news on the movie adaptation of The Long Walk by Stephen King, and I want to talk about it. So a few months ago when I read the book The Long Walk, and I had quite a few complaints about it, as you can see in my review on the book here, I thought that, maybe the movie adaptation would be more interesting on this story, and at that time it was already clear that there is going to be a movie adaptation, but we didn't have any more information about it. But now there is a new trailer out. We finally have a release date of the movie, which will be in this year's September. So yeah, let's look at the trailer. Let's get into what the movie is going to look like, and let's talk about it. But first, for those who don't know it, let's just quickly recap the plot. What is it about? So The Long Walk basically is set in a dystopian North America in the future. Basically, the world as we know it, the civilization as we know it, is not the same anymore. We don't know too much about what exactly has happened. We don't know too much about what the situation is nowadays. But what we do know is that there is this yearly event, there's this yearly walk, which they call the Long Walk, where young guys can take part in it, and there is a huge prize for the winner. So what basically happens is all the people taking part in the Long Walk, they have to always keep on walking, and they can never drop below, I believe, 3 miles per hour. When they drop below that kind of speed, they get a warning, they get a second warning, and at the third warning, they get a ticket, which means they get shot, they die. So the last one standing that continues on walking, he gets a huge prize. We don't know what that prize is, and in addition to the prize, he of course gets to continue on living, and that is basically the whole plot of the book. So our story, we experience the story from the point of view of a 16-year-old Ray Garrity who takes part in that walk, and we don't know too much about his motivation, about his background, why he is joining that walk. So, most of the story is made up of Ray Garrity getting to know the other walkers, talking to them, and just kind of going through the pain of what continuous walking over multiple days does to you and does to your body, basically, and thinking about how to survive this whole thing and situation, because once you decided to join the Long Walk, you cannot go back on your word, and you need to continue on walking. So that's basically the plot of it, and as I mentioned, for the book, I found it quite boring, but I thought there is an opportunity for the movie to be more interesting. So yeah, let's get into what this trailer looked like. So right off the bat, the trailer starts with this beautiful but desolate landscape. It's the cinematography overall, I think in the trailer at least, is done beautifully, and it also mixes in absolutely amazing and fitting music, and I found it a very good choice for the kind of plot that the story is about. But then after a few shots of the landscape, they started showing Ray Garrity, and they started showing the other walkers. And what I immediately recognized is they are way too old. And I don't know what made them change this. I mean, this is supposed to be a young adult story, basically, kind of like the Hunger Games. But these guys, I'm not even sure if they are actually acknowledging this change, and they are calling them in the movie story, they are calling them 25 or whatever, but in the book they are supposed to be around 16. And Ray Garrity, like if we look at him, I think Cooper Hoffman is his name. So he looks like an amazing actor, and I like him a lot. And he's the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, an absolute legend, right? But Cooper Hoffman, I believe he's around 22, 23, and he certainly looks it. He basically looks like 25, if you'd ask me. And he's supposed to play this 16-year-old character, and it's just not believable at all. And I thought Hollywood was done, casting way older actors to portray these teenagers, but seems they are doing it again, and that just annoyed me from the very beginning. That annoyed me immediately. That all these characters, or 90% of them, they look way too old for what they are supposed to be. And then I think they are trying to kind of compensate in with the way that they are dressing these people. So Ray Garrity, you see Cooper Hoffman with this like fishing hat walking around, and it looks absolutely ridiculous. It looks like, I don't know, he's wearing this baby hat, but when you look at his face, he's clearly in his mid-20s. It's just such a mismatch that makes me kind of, when I look at these scenes, it makes me not take these scenes seriously for some reason. So I think that that's a huge mistake, and I wonder why that choice was made to either age them up in the story, if they did that, or cast these way older actors for, you know, pretend they can act as 16-year-olds, which they obviously cannot. Maybe they were trying to make the story more mature and not have it as a young adult story anymore. But I do wonder what the kind of motivation behind that change was, because I think it's quite significant and I'm not sure if it's going to work. What I would like to say though, that the casting otherwise, you know, apart from the age, they seem to have a lot of very good actors on here. Again, Cooper Hoffman, from the few scenes that I've seen, he certainly can act, and I also absolutely love Mark Hamill in the role of the Colonel. That looks great. Those shots of him on that. On that jeep, on that military jeep. So I think there's some good things in here from the casting side. I just think they have a huge mismatch on the age. It does look beautiful though, the trailer. From the few scenes that we do get to see in the trailer, it looks to be very high production value. It's very well matched with the story, and it seems that they are, at least from what I'm remembering, it seems that they are trying to add more plot points that you know, have more excitement and action in it to bring this to the big screen, because there was just not enough happening in the book that I think would make this an exciting story enough to show as a movie. So it does seem that they are expanding a little bit on that story. This is like one of my main worries here, is that just there's not enough like flesh on that story that would make it interesting to see as a, you know, is it gonna be a 1.5 hour movie? I think it can be a short one, yeah, but I assume they make it a 2.5 hour movie, and then it's just gonna be a very boring and very slow watch. And I'm not sure who then would be the target audience for that, for a rather old story by Stephen King, which now is not young adult anymore, really. And I think for the older fans, they probably are not really moviegoers anymore. So I wonder who this movie is supposed to be for. I'm certainly gonna watch it. I'm interested in it, and I hope to, you know, be wrong here, and I hope it's going to be an amazing movie. And then I love to be wrong here, but I do worry a little bit that the story is just not exciting enough to be on the big screen. So I do wonder how they are going to build suspension here, how, you know, how they are going to add more action into it, because in the story it's never really revealed what their motivation is. There's not a lot of world building that shows us, you know, how this all came to be, why they are going on that walk. It's not even shown like what the price is basically for winning. Even the outcome and who the winner is kind of up in the air. So there's just not a lot here to build suspension and to build action on. So that's what I'm worried about. But, you know, let me know in the comments below, what did you think of the trailer of The Long Walk? Are you excited for the movie? Am I completely wrong about this? Please let me know in the comments below. I'm always happy to be wrong, and I love to see the movie in September. So yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say here. And I hope there's gonna be a few more trailers coming out soon, and a few more information about it coming out soon, and I'll closely follow that once it happens. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.